Horror movies can give a fright, but so can a good ghost story. Suspense is all about timing and gullibility, and if you can pull off both, you got a hit. But what happens when the lines between fact and fiction starts to blur? You often hear stories of people claiming that they've seen ghosts, aliens, and or other supernatural beings. If you turned on the local news, you've definitely heard about a grisly murder or two. Sometimes it's a story even Stephen King couldn't dream of coming up with himself. That's when you start trusting in the strange. Once in a while, a story of a dreadful disappearance, demonic possession, or a town full of devil worshippers will land in the local paper. Whether it's real or fiction, we often never find out. Maybe they're crazy, but maybe they're right. The Enfield Monster. At about 10 p.m. on the night of April 25, 1973, Henry McDaniel heard a scratching sound at his front door. He looked out and saw something that he thought might be a bear. Taking a gun and a flashlight, he headed outside into a strong wind, and he saw a creature between two rosebushes. He later said it had 3 legs on it, a short body, 2 little short arms, and 2 pink eyes as big as flashlights. It stood 4.5 feet tall and was grayish-colored. He added later that it was almost like a human body. McDaniel fired 4 shots at the creature, one shot hitting it and causing it to make a hiss, much like a wildcat's, before fleeing towards nearby railway embankment, covering 50 feet in 3 jumps. McDaniel called the local authorities, who discovered footprints in the soft earth near the house, which McDaniel described as a dog-like in shape with 6 tube pads. The police considered McDaniel to be rational and sober in his reporting of the incident. In a later press interview, McDaniel said, "If they do find it, they will find more than one, and they won't be from this planet. I can tell you that." Investigators interviewing nearby residents were told that Greg Garrett, a 10-year-old neighbor of McDaniel, claimed to have encountered the creature half an hour before McDaniel did, and that the creature had stepped on his feet, tearing his tennis shoes to shreds. The boy later told Western Illinois University researchers that his report was a hoax to tease Mr. and Mrs. and have fun with an out-of-town newsman. 2 weeks later, on May 6th, McDaniel called the radio station VVKI, claiming to have seen the creature again. At 3 a.m. this morning, it was negotiating the trestles of the railroad tracks near his home, and McDaniel said, "I saw something moving out on the railroad track, and there it stood. I didn't shoot it or anything. It started on down the railroad track. It wasn't in a hurry or anything." A search party, including VVKI's news director Rick Rainbow, explored the area later that day and reported observing an ape-like creature standing in an abandoned building near McDaniel's house. They claimed to have made a recording of the creature's cries and fired a shot at it before it fled. Cryptozoologist Lauren Coleman investigated the case and the sound recording. 2 days later, a day after McDaniel was interviewed on a local radio, the local press reported that the police were called to investigate reports of gunfire and arrested 5 young men from out of town who had come to Enfield in order to photograph the creature. Carrying shotguns and rifles for protection, the men have claimed to have sighted the creature. The White County Sheriff dismissed reports of this monster hunting expedition as an exaggeration, saying that the men were just out drinking and raising hell, mentioning the monster only briefly during questioning. The men were charged with hunting violations. What is the truth? I'll let you consider that.